Hey, everybody. So I'm sure you've had the experience where you're talking to someone and you're engaging with them, and then they kind of get distracted by their cell phone. It's like, hello, I'm over here. They kind of lose focus. We've probably done it ourselves to other people. It's a very, very common problem these days. A young woman recently was telling me she was on a shidduch, a date. Shidduchim are not just dates, they're dating for the purpose of getting married. And they were on, I don't know, second, third date. And this guy, he kept looking at his phone. He's looking at his phone. He doesn't turn it off during the date. And that was a couple other things, but that was a deal breaker a little bit because he wasn't focused on her. He wasn't giving her the attention that was necessary given the circumstances. You're looking to see if you want to marry this person or not. And so it's a real issue. And so it's also, even in the workplace, we see this all the time, people on their jobs, and they're looking at their phone and distracting a salesperson. Everywhere you go, people are distracted, even on their jobs, looking at their phones. So the National Institute of Health tells us the following. Cell phone distraction is a major barrier to focus, with research showing it takes the brain an average of 20 minutes to fully refocus after a single interruption. This dependency stems from apps engineered for immediate rewards, which disrupt our attention spans and frequently lead to compromised productivity and mental well-being. Yeah, what we all kind of intuitively knew. I found that 20 minutes to be quite a long, but yeah, you get interrupted, you need to refocus. Does Judaism have something to say about this? You betcha. Of course we do. And I came across this in this week's Daf Yomi. It's one of these examples where it's the sidebar. It's like the side issue. It's not the main issue, but it has a very important lesson. And we're in the middle of Chulin. Chulin deals with proper shechita, proper slaughtering of animals. What makes animals treif? Treif, we throw around that term as non-kosher, but it means that the animal has some sort of injury that will ultimately kill it. And so if we slaughter an animal and we see that it's internally injured, there's something wrong with it, even though we did a proper shechita, a proper slaughter, it's still not kosher. So the context that we're going to talk about is they talk about a certain size, for instance, in certain organs, if it's missing a piece or a hole, and the size that they give to try and determine whether or not it's big enough to render the animal treif is they give the size of a coin, coins that were used during that time. So that's where we are. That's the context, and it says as follows. Reb Chana was a money changer. What a money changer was is that money back then, it wasn't like we have minted money, everything is exactly the same and looks exactly the same. It wasn't so uniform, so they had to see how much silver was in there, how big the coin was it worn out, was it not worn out? So he was a money changer. And he says, I once looked up from my table, and he's sitting there and he sees Rabbi Yochanan was standing over me. And Rabbi Yochanan is a very important rabbi. And he was asking me for this Kurdian dinar. He was there, he wanted to get this dinar, this is the context, so he could determine whether or not animals are treif or not, to measure with the possible treifa. I wanted to rise before him to show the proper honor for a Torah scholar, that's what they do. But he wouldn't allow me. And he said to me, sit, my son, sit. Tradesmen who are paid by their employers are not allowed to rise before Torah scholars at the time the tradesmen are engaged in their work. He basically said, don't get up. Don't interrupt your work. Because when you interrupt your work and then you lose focus, even by showing honor to a Talmid Chacham, to a Torah scholar, you got to refocus. And you're taking time away from the guy who you work for because you're supposed to be trying to drum up business and do stuff. And now you've lost focus, you've lost time, and it cost him money. I mean, this is such a foreign concept in our day and age that here back then they were so sensitive to not losing focus that even for something so noble and proper and nice, you're supposed to stand up to show kavod, to show honor to a Talmid Chacham, to a Torah scholar. No, Forget about like checking your emails or WhatsApp chat or whatever. Even for something this important, we don't want you to lose focus when you're on the job, because it costs ultimately costs your employer money, because it costs them time, because now you have to get back into it. I mean, can you imagine like great people? We think like we're so technologically advanced. We think we're so advanced because we have technological advancements. You know, we're so much better than people in the past. But this is certainly one thing in our day and age which is a total setback from previous generations. Imagine if Rembrandt, great people who made great works of art or great writings, or Shakespeare, if they constantly got distracted by their phones and this, that, and the other, bing, bang, ba, ba, they couldn't produce what they produce. I mean, can you imagine the World Cup is going on right now? Can you imagine a soccer player, a football player, that's really what they're called, in the middle of the game, you know, he takes out his phone and he's trying to play the game, and but I just gotta get back to this person, and he's trying to. We wouldn't stand for that. Focus on what you're doing, and that's the problem with these phones today. Thank God we have Shabbat. It breaks us away from that for 25 hours. We just get to cut away from that and not get distracted on Shabbat and Chagim and holidays. Judaism understood that you don't lose your focus. The study that comes out from the National Institute of Health, we knew this all along, that to distract is to take away from a person's focus, and it costs them and it costs their employers money. So stay focused, my friends. Stay focused. Don't answer that ping. Turn off the phone. Put it on Do Not Disturb, and you'll be better, and everyone around you and the relationships around you will all be better. Have a good Shabbat.